Hi everybody, I'm back, and now time for some quick housekeeping items. First, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell at the bottom for the notifications so every time I upload a video. It'll really help the channel grow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by year's end, and hopefully with your help I can do it. Now, for today, let's jump right into the topic, which is going to be Schedule C's. One of the things about Schedule C's that is really important to understand that those are basically the profit and loss sheet for the IRS for people who are self-employed. Basically, when you're working for yourself and you don't have anyone else to report to or to do the withholdings for you, you are now responsible for all those things. One of the things with Schedule C people that they'll always have to understand is that you are now technically the employer. So all those wonderful things that your boss used to do for you when you were just working at any other employer, you are now responsible for that side of it. You're your own boss. You basically make your own hours. And of course, as far as your taxes go, you're essentially solely responsible for making sure that they come out of the money as you're earning it. One of the things that I want all Schedule C people to understand is that record keeping is not your enemy. A lot of the times when people who are self-employed get audited, their biggest hurdle is figuring out how to separate their personal and their business items, because most people have a Schedule C, if I'm honest, will just use their personal account until, either the business goes belly up or it's just so big that then they see the need to separate it. But really and truly, you should probably keep those things separate from the first day. It's really bad when you mix up your business and your personal, because you're basically telling the IRS, hey, guess what? All these things are the same. And it makes it harder to say, hey, these items are business and these items are expenses. If you ever have gone through one of those kind of audits before, you'll understand what I'm saying is true. And it is accurate, that you really need to keep those things separate as much as possible. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. The fastest and probably the easiest way is to just leverage like apps, like banking apps, to keep your personal and your business separate. You can basically set up like your Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, things like that, to act as sort of like your business account where you're only using it for your business items. When you get paid through the app. When you're ready to pay yourself, you're going to pay yourself by transferring the money to your regular bank account, where you will be spending your own personal cash. The reason why you always want to do that is you want to keep it separate. Now, as far as your business goes, I'm going to be honest with you, it's not really the best, especially if you're trying to build your business. It is actually better to have a traditional business banking account with a regular processor for credit card transactions. And the reason that you want to do that is that not only builds up your personal credit when you use a regular processor to process your credit card transactions, but it also builds up your business credit, which is essential when you're talking about going from maybe a mom and pop to actually having a couple of chains under your belt. So, it may seem like an overindulgent expense, but it's really necessary to grow into that sort of thinking where you're really keeping that separation and doing the right things from day one in order to grow your business. Now, as far as your taxes are concerned, you really want to make sure that you're keeping digital records. Paper records are okay. And I'm not going to tell you that the IRS or your state and local governments won't accept them. However, the old days of like receipt book writing and things like that are really of the past. Technology is growing, and so are the way they require you to report your income. One of those things where people have a real difficult time understanding is that those receipts basically can be done at any time. Now, they're not sitting at the IRS office going, oh my God, let me go ahead and start dating ink on receipts. Because to be perfectly frank with you, most answers to audits are faxed. So that's not really going to happen. But what you also have to understand is that even if you send those in, they may still require you to also send in what you did with the money after you got it. And that's really the problem. Okay. So while cash is king, trust me, it really is, you still need to make sure that you're keeping good business banking records. You need to keep track of not only what comes in the account, but how it goes out. And that's why it's really important to get that separation also, so that you can better keep track of how you're actually spending your money on your business. Now, there are several types of people who will consider themselves self-employed or a contractor. A lot of them are app-based, like Uber, DoorDash, Grubhub, things like that. But you also have other things that aren't app-based. Your local babysitter. There may be a nice lady in your building who's been doing hair inside of an apartment for the last 20 years. And so this is really important to say, hey, I know you've been doing hair and I know you've been babysitting, but we really need to talk about getting you set up in a way that makes it more feasible for you to be able to actually file a good tax return and not have to worry about whether or not when you actually do it, could you stand up to an audit? Because that's the thing. A lot of people also don't understand about Schedule C is that a Schedule C is a business, and businesses get audited. There's no such thing as a business that doesn't get audited. Absolutely none. Charities get audited, and they're charities. So, of course, if you're saying you're making a profit and you're operating within these wonderful American borders, you are going to get an audit as a business. A matter of fact, a lot of individuals will tell you they also get audited, and it doesn't happen all the time, but they do get it. But when you're a business, you are getting an audit. So at some point, it's going to happen. And the best way to handle it is just to follow a couple of quick steps, easy steps. First thing from day one you want to make sure of is the thing I said about the banking. So important, and it's almost going to take care of, I wouldn't say 70% of your issue that you're going to have with your audit. Okay? Once you have those sort of things set up where you're going to say, this bank account is going to do this for my business, and this bank account is going to do this for me, that's perfect. The other thing you also want to make sure of is that if you do set up like an LLC or something like that, you want to make sure that if you're going to file the LLC with your business, if you're going to file the LLC on a Schedule C as part of your business, is that you keep a good track of how everything is working. Especially for LLCs, because there are also other filing requirements and things like that for businesses. And those filing requirements, some of them are quarterly, some of them are monthly, and some of them are annual. If you're just doing it for yourself, like things like unemployment and disability really don't come into play that much for you. It's usually for volunteer purposes, and I'm saying usually because there are always exceptions to the rule. But usually you don't have to worry about that. However, and this is very important, just because you don't have to worry about it now doesn't mean it's not going to come down the line where you're going to have to start worrying about it. So it's best to just set yourself up and get yourself ready for all the things that may or may not happen. Another thing that you also have to keep in mind during your setup of your business is making sure that you're paying yourself. Again, you want to make sure that you're moving the money from the business to you. Now, you can do that during a regular transfer, but what I would like to tell people is that it's probably easier and better if you get yourself some accounting software. Now, this isn't the olden days where there's an accountant and he's sitting behind a thing, and then you have to get the payroll processor, and that's a whole nother fee. You can set up basically a QuickBooks. They have Sage. They have so many different kinds of cloud accounting programs, and they're very inexpensive and affordable. And that will actually also help you keep better track of what you're doing, because most accounting software will separate things for you, depending on what kind of package you get. But it will separate those things for you and move things out of there intuitively, so you don't have to always think about what is happening with my business and why is money going here and going there. You get charts, you get graphs, and especially if you're a business person, those things are really important to help you grow your business and understand where your money is going and where your money is coming from. Now, lastly is going to be a little more personal, which is going to be your dependents. For those people out there who don't have dependents, you can actually just toss this part out. For those who do have dependents, when you get audited, a big portion of what you're going to be doing is making sure that you have proof of relationship and proof that the child lives in the home with you. A lot of Schedule C contractors, self-employment, entrepreneurs, they have a thing where they don't always have those records readily available. I know the pandemic really put the onus on a lot of people for record keeping, but that is also very important. There's so many different things that make them disallow the entire tax return and all of its income. And if they start disallowing portions of it, your refund gets smaller, or in some cases, if you've already gotten a refund, you may end up paying some of it back. So it's really important. It's not the biggest step, but the last thing you want to do is start paying back things like earned income credit because you couldn't prove that your kid is your kid. And that's really a horrible thing. This is all I have right now for you guys to review. And I will be doing another portion of the Schedule C. So make sure that you guys give me a thumbs up. It's always great to know that everyone is watching. And I'll see you in a few. Thank you.